Hi guys, and welcome to Lizzie Dean Makes. I'm Lizzie Dean, and this is the channel where we make, mend and grow our way to a big life on a small budget. Hi guys, and welcome back. So today we are going to be making up a zero waste toothpaste recipe that I found on a blog. I will link that in the description box below. So part of the reason that I want to do this is because I want to cut down on the plastic waste that we are generating. So this recipe uses mostly things I already had. I did buy some calcium carbonate, which is essentially ground limestone. Now this is not something that you should eat, so obviously with a toothpaste we are going to be washing our mouths and then spitting it out and rinsing our mouths. We're not intending to swallow this, but you should not eat calcium carbonate. The other ingredients are xanthan gum, bicarbonate of soda. I'm going to use this fractionated coconut oil instead of the sweet almond oil because James is highly allergic to almonds as well. This is an oil substitute, but it's also, as I said in my reusable freezer bag video, fractionated coconut oil. The actual process that makes it fractionalizing, I don't know what the name is, actually changes it and changes the chemical composition. So fractionated coconut oil has a very long shelf life and is not really going to go rancid on you quickly. So that seems like a good thing to me to go into the toothpaste, because obviously I don't want the toothpaste going rancid before we finish it. I'm also going to use some essential oils. I have not got peppermint. I thought I did, but I can't find it. But I have got spearmint and menthol, so I think I'm probably going to use some spearmint to flavour it. I'm going to use this little jar that was actually a yoghurt from Aldi. So it's a tiny little jar with a plastic cap that sits over a sort of lid. But it's just a great little size, and I really like the yoghurt that was in it as well, so you know, 2 for the win. I am going to be using stevia tablets, which I'm going to grind down along with the other dried ingredients instead of xylitol. Xylitol's a sweetener, stevia's a sweetener. I've got stevia, so I'm going to use that. And the key ingredient that makes this toothpaste recipe different from others is that it uses the ground arrowroot. I've got Dr. Oetker ground arrowroot that I got from the supermarket for a recipe over the summer, so I've already got some of that sitting around, and that's what makes this toothpaste foam and have the same sort of consistency as a store-bought toothpaste. So these plastic pots are like the ones that you get black peppercorns in, or coarse sea salt, or anything, garlic granules and things in bulk, and these are recycled by our local recycling. The xanthan gum is vegan and is from the local health food shop and is used in baking, as is the baking soda. So these are sort of store cupboard things that I would have anyway. This I bought for another project. Unfortunately it came in plastic bottles, but I think I will reuse those plastic bottles, so I think it'll be okay that happened. I was supposed to get it in a different bottle, and when it arrived they'd substituted it for 2 small plastic bottles instead, which is not what I wanted, but c'est la vie. I've also got some measuring cups and some measuring spoons. And I've got a tiny little saucepan which I'm going to use for stage 1. So this recipe goes in 2 stages. Stage 1, you mix a 1/4 cup of water and 1/2 tablespoon of the arrowroot powder. And I'm going to mix them in this little saucepan over the hob. And I'm going to mix them together until they form a thick paste. Then I'm going to pop that in the freezer for a couple of minutes while I grind down my dry ingredients so that it can cool down and solidify a bit, but you don't want it to freeze, so not for very long at all. I'm going to grind down the rest of my powdered ingredients, and the reason that I'm going to use the pestle and mortar specifically with the bicarbonate of soda is that although Bayer Johnson and lots of other zero wasters brush their teeth just with baking soda is actually quite coarse, and apparently brushing your teeth with it can wear away the enamel of your teeth. So grinding it up beforehand to make sure that it's a lot smoother and softer and smaller particles actually will avoid that issue. So that's what I'm going to do. It's also, this is not a primarily baking soda based recipe. There's only 3 tablespoons of baking soda compared to all the other ingredients. So it's not actually a prime component of this recipe, which is another reason why I've chosen this one. So although there's lots of things here, almost all of these I already had apart from this, which came in a sturdy Ziploc bag, and I've got a kilo of it, so this should last us for years worth of toothpaste. So I'm not overly concerned about that. And my little yoghurt pot, which I'm reusing rather than recycling, so I'm happy with that. So I'm going to get started with the bits in the kitchen. Grind up my dry ingredients, put my waters and my oils together, and add them into the dry ingredients and mix thoroughly. And then I'm going to add my arrowroot paste and mix them all together thoroughly. And then I'm going to pop them up in my glass jar, which I've just washed and sterilised. So that's what I'm going to do. So as you can see, that's now formed a thick sort of gelatinous paste. So I'm going to pop this in the freezer for a few minutes to cool down. Okay, so stage 1 is complete, and my arrowroot powder paste is now cooling in the freezer. So now I'm going to move on to preparing the dry ingredients. So we're going to have 7 tablespoons of the calcium carbonate. Okay, so I'm actually only going to do 6 because I was massively over the level. I couldn't get it to flatten out. So then I'm going to add, it should be 5.5 tablespoons of xylitol. So I'm going to see what I've got to work with here. I think I'll just pop all of those in, and that'll do. There's probably about 20 tablets of stevia there, I don't know. Next is 3 tablespoons of baking soda. And half a teaspoon of the xanthan gum. There we go. And half a teaspoon is this one. Okay, so that's all of my dry ingredients. I'm now just going to give all of this a bit of a grind with my pestle and mortar. Okay, so I've mixed and ground all my powders together, and I've added my 1.5 tablespoons of water to my measuring jug. And then I need half a teaspoon of this oil. Plus 30 to 50 drops of peppermint oil, so I'm going to be using spearmint oil. Mix these together, and then we add them in a bit at a time. to our dry ingredients. Okay, this isn't actually forming a stiff paste at all. It is like breadcrumb consistency, and the more I work it, just doesn't seem to make any difference. It's only going to go to breadcrumb consistency. So I'm going to stir in the xanthan gum now and see how I got on with that. Mix them all together. Xanthan gum, this is the arrowroot, sorry. I think I might put this in the food processor and see how I get on with that. Okay, so putting it in the food processor has worked, and it is now very, very pasty, but it is nicely mixed. So I'm now going to try and pot this up in my glass jar. Okay, so my verdict is that it looks, it smells and it tastes like toothpaste. It feels like toothpaste if you pop a little bit on your finger and rub your fingers together. It's got the same consistency as toothpaste. It's very gloopy to handle, so getting it out of the food processor and trying to get it into the jars was interesting. But we shall see how it works in practice. So this jar was 120 grams of yogurt. I don't know how many millilitres that is. And this jar is a 25 millilitre, no it's not, it's a 40 millilitre jar. So it made quite a lot, this recipe. I will put the link to the recipe in the description box below, and I will be doing some more videos on DIY zero waste cosmetics, basically cutting out the packaging that products come in. I want to keep them all to within a small set of ingredients that either I've already got or that I use to make a large variety of products. But if you don't already have all the ingredients, there's no point going out and buying all of the ingredients to make up basically what is like one tube of toothpaste, because obviously there are like several different components and they will have packaging. So if you don't already have the stuff in the house, don't make your own toothpaste. Don't make any DIY recipes for zero waste if you don't already have most of the ingredients already, because you're not eliminating any waste if you do that. Okay, so I'm just getting ready for bed and I'm going to try out my homemade toothpaste recipe, if I can get the lid off it. So rather than sticking the head of the toothbrush into the jar and potentially adding bacteria or whatever into the jar, I'm going to use a popsicle stick to get the toothpaste out and pop it on the end of my toothbrush. Okay, so the verdict is that it tastes and acts a lot like normal toothpaste. It's not as bright white. It is a slightly sort of grey off-white colour, so when you do spit it out it is a different colour. And it doesn't foam as much as a store-bought toothpaste, although it does foam. My teeth feel nice and clean. The taste's alright. I think I probably could have added a bit more of the spearmint oil, but I mean, it tastes perfectly fine. It doesn't taste nasty or anything. Just could have been a bit stronger minty taste. That's it. So I'm quite happy with that recipe. So I'll see how we get on with it for the next month or so. But seems good to me. So if you liked this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button down below and the little bell icon next to it if you'd like to be notified every time I upload new content. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.